Hi guys, I'm here again doing a video about how to export your or prepare your parts for the musicians for next week. Hope you're getting very excited. I certainly am. Um, so what we've got here, we've just got, I've just chosen one at random. We've got Baz's arrangement here, and I just thought I'd go through the process of making sure the parts are readable or as readable as possible for your musicians, just to make sure that you guys get the best results from this fantastic opportunity. So I'm here in Sibelius with I'm in Sibelius 7, of course, and I'll try as much as possible to go over how to do things in Sibelius 6, but I've got Sibelius 7 at home. Alright, so I'm in panorama view, which you can get to through here rather than the page view. Now, with the page view you can see you've only got sort of 2 or 3 bars per page, and it can get really tedious to read from, so I always like working in panorama, unless I'm looking specifically at layout. But we'll get to that later. Okay, so the first thing that you need to do is go through and check for things such as, have you put in dynamics for each part? It's very important because, when, for example, at the beginning here, we've got, Baz has got his alto sax, tenor sax, and trumpet on an A flat. Now, does he want that to be a really loud A flat or a really quiet A flat? Or does he want a crescendo through it? He needs to be more clear. Sorry, Baz, I'm not trying to pick on you, but I'm using you as an example. So make sure you do dynamics, okay? Now, an easy way to do dynamics is if you go to text, and it's an expression. So click on the expression, your cursor goes blue, click on the note that you want, and then you can see this little blinking cursor here. I'll just do it again. So you got a little blinking cursor. If I right click there, I can select from one of the options, okay? Or I can hold down Command on a Mac, or Apple on a Mac, or Control on a PC, and just type MF, or F for forte, or PP for piano, okay? And once I've done that, I click off anywhere that's not where you were. But you don't have to do that for every, let's say you wanted, let's not do piano, I'm going to assume that Baz wants a forte sound here. So I want a forte across all 3 instruments. Now it's important to put the forte marking on each 3 instruments, because remember, they're not going to have the score to look at. They're only going to have their part. So remember the Alt-click copy-paste function. So if I select anything, hold down Alt, and then click on a note where I want to paste it, it pastes whatever is selected. So it can be quite quick to, if you've got multiple instruments doing the same part, it's good to it's a really easy way to copy paste, so you don't have to go through that whole process again. So that's select what you want with left click, hold down Alt, and left click on the note where you want to paste that articulation. So that's a great way of doing it. The other thing we need to check is that our enharmonic spelling is right. Now, I'm seeing something here. We've got in the alto sax, Baz has harmonized the main riff with the saxophone in thirds, which is great, but the top part is just going. So it's a descending scale, so I would want to see that in an A flat. So the way you can change that, you don't have to re-put it in again. The shortcut is Enter or Return, the one above the Shift key. So select the note and press Enter, and that'll cycle through the various enharmonic spellings of your piece. Now, we've got 4 bars here to do that, so rather than doing that, don't forget the repeat function. Easy. Select the bar, press R, and it'll repeat it. So rather than do everything again, and that's all fixed. Now again, whenever you get an instrument entering, you need to tell them what dynamic you want them to play at. Yeah, so we've got, at the moment, our forte marking is continuing. So if there was no dynamic marking here, the alto sax would assume that you want to keep it in forte dynamic. Now, whether you wanted to have that slightly softer or the same dynamic is up to you, but you might want to do something like this, have it come in at mezzo forte, so slightly not quite as loud because you've got the top voice which is in unison with the riff, and this is more a harmony part, so you want it to come out still but not quite as much as the main riff. Okay, let's have a look at what else is happening in the score. Now I know that Baz has had trouble with his cymbals not playing back unless they're solid note heads. We'll have to work out on a solution to that, Baz. I think it might be a case of adding in a new staff, copying, pasting, but we'll figure that out. So just looking over at your the rest of your instruments, it's all looking pretty good, apart from your no dynamics, but other than that, you've got articulations in the bass part, which is fantastic. You've got slurs in the vocals. Oh God, please don't do that. Cos is spelt with an S. Yes, not a Z. So please no text language. I know it's cool. Oh God, I sound like an old fuddy-duddy. But yeah, we are writing English here. It's not. Yeah, don't be slack with your spelling. We spell correctly because we care. And yeah, but that's okay. Moving on. Again, we've got our enharmonic spelling that I'd probably fix up here, just because it's just if you can make it the least, so that it makes the most amount of sense in the key that you're in. That would be good. And some people might be saying, well, how do I know if it's supposed to be a G sharp or an A flat? I'm focusing up here. Well, the easiest way is just to look down at the chord here and think, now, does my G sharp make sense in an A flat sus4 with a D flat on the bass? So in that context, if the chord is A flat, then I'd want to spell it as an A flat rather than a G sharp. Okay, otherwise I would be thinking it might be an augmented seventh or something. So the player might be confused when they play what's written and they hear consonants rather than dissonance. So it's just little things like that. So anyway, once you've done all that, clear up the empty bars at the end, because this might save you several pages of printing out blank bar lines. So we don't need that. The way that we delete bars, hold down Apple or Command or Control on a PC. Apple's Command on a Mac, Control on PC. Click in one bar and you can see in Sibelius 7 we get a purple highlight, but in Sibelius 6 we get a double rectangle outline of the bar. Which is the difference between just selecting a bar and really selecting a bar. So once we've clicked one bar, we hold down Shift and click to the end, and then just press Delete, and those bars are gone. Okay, so now the only bars that we'll be printing are bars with music in them. Okay, and that means less wasted paper, which is all good. So now that we've kind of gone through and put all our dynamic markings in, fixed up our enharmonic spelling, making sure that the articulations are right, we're ready to prepare the parts. And this might seem like a tedious task, but it's a really important task to do, because you want the players to have the best experience possible when playing your piece, because you want them to do a good job. and you want them to focus on performing the piece rather than trying to make sense of your tatty score. So, the parts. Now, Sibelius is really good because while you're working on the score, it's dynamically creating parts in the background. And to access those, it's really quite simple. What you do is you select any bar of an instrument. In this case, I've selected the alto saxophone, and I hit the W key. The W key. Now that works in both Sibelius 7 and Sibelius 6. So now I'm looking at the alto saxophone part. So you can see here it's only one page. And look, my dynamics are in there, which I edited before. You can see we've got these multi-measure rests, which save on space. But you can see here that the glissando marking is a little bit out of place because its alignment is a little different. So this is where it's really important to look at your score, because sometimes, look at your parts and your score, because sometimes what looks right in the score, when you put it into a part, it becomes a little bit misaligned. So all I'm going to do, oops, sorry about that, is just drag the glissando marking up so it makes sense. Now you can see that it goes orange in color. Now when it's orange in color, it means that its position in the part is different to the position in the score, or it appears in the part but not in the score. So you can have text markings which appear in the part, but you don't, and you may not want them to appear in the score because they're unnecessary. So that's possible. But for now, I just want you to make sure that it all looks nice and neat and easy to read. Now you can see this score, this part is really well spaced out. There's no bunching up of notes. Once you fix up the enharmonic spelling of this part, it'll be fine. The only thing I might add to this would be little text markings for, this is the chorus coming up, rather than just the riff starting. Just little text or section cues would be really good. So that would be our alto sax part done. Now to get back to the score, you simply hit W again. And you repeat the process with the next instrument, so the tenor sax. So select it, press W. And now we're looking at the tenor saxophone part. Again, the glissando is moved, so we just click and drag that up to somewhere where it looks a little less out of place. All good. Now you can see this is laid out a little bit tighter, but there's a lot less happening in this part, so it's still really clear in terms of what's happening on the score. Like, it's not confusing or anything, so that's fine. You don't want overlapping parts. So I'm happy with that part. I'm going to hit W to go back to the score, select my trumpet part, and hit W again. Now this glissando is in the right place, so that's fantastic. And the rest of my part looks pretty good. Well, sorry, Baz's part looks pretty good. So I'm happy with that. Hit W to go back to the score. Let's look at our trombone part. Select the trombone, hit W. Oh, trombone player is going to have an easy read through this one. So tacit means nothing to play. Yeah, so it just means stop. So trombone player is going to have a fairly easy run on this one. But that's all that Baz has got for now. That's completely fine. So we hit W to go back to the score. Let's go to lead vocals now. Select the lead vocals, hit W, and we've got lyrics and melody that seems all good. So basically what we're doing is we're just making sure when we look at the part and we go, okay, if I was reading this part, the vocalist has got this, the note to start on, she knows or he or she knows that there are 9 bars of nothing, and then she comes in on the 10th bar. Again, here I would be thinking, okay, how loud do you want them to come in? For the vocals, it's not as important, but it's still a good practice to get into. So I'd be fairly happy with that. Maybe a dynamic marking, but that's fine. I'm going to go back to the score. Let's have a look at the rhythm guitar. Select rhythm guitar, Oh, okay, now we have some issues here. So you can see that it's getting really cramped. So we might need to do something about this. Now I'm trying to figure out why that's so cramped. Um, okay, that's an interesting one. Where is that happening? Okay, so you can see here, um, we've got, went back to the score to try and figure it out. So you can see here that the chord here is B flat sus4 over E, then here, B flat, I mean A flat sus4 over E. And then here we've got A flat over E flat, and then on the fourth crotchet bit we've got A flat over G. So you might need to put in some notes here to just so that when you click on this bar, it's not, when Sibelius is viewing this bar, it's viewing it as empty, so it's not giving it the space that it may require. So let's just try a little experiment. I'm going to put in a note. Let's just say any old note of G, and then another one G, G. Okay, but I'm going to turn those into different note heads so that they don't play. I'm going to turn them into slash notation. Okay, so now they don't play when I select them. Yeah. Now if I go back to my part by hitting W, you can see that it's not squished the bar up anymore, and it's much easier for the guitarist to know what rhythm to play these chords in, and you can just kind of fine tune them a little bit so it's a little bit easier just by clicking and dragging. Okay. Here we've got a similar problem, so we might choose to you might want to copy paste that bar or just enter in some slash notation just to help Sibelius know exactly when you want those chords to be, rather than it trying to squish them all into an empty bar. So just looking further down here, we can see that the chord symbols for the fourth system are actually hitting the beams of the notes in the third system. So again, we just click on the system below, and drag them down so that we've got some space between them, and they don't clash anymore. So that's what I would do. So you can see that sometimes Sibelius does a lot of the work for you, but sometimes when you look at a part, you'll go, "Oh, okay, that's not going to work. Oh, how do I fix that?" And a lot of it's just down to problem solving and understanding what the problem is. Okay, so once I would fix up this bar to look more like this, and this bar, and this bar, I would be happy that that part is more or less ready to go. So I'm going to go back to my score and select my bass part, have a read through, have a look through. Now that looks pretty good. Again, dynamics. How loud do you want the bass player to come in? Any dynamic changes? Do you want them to crescendo? Do you want them to diminuendo? On that topic, if you want to crescendo, they can be found in the lines section. So go to notation and lines up here. In Sibelius 6, you go up to create and create line, and you'll find a crescendo marking. And if you just click crescendo, it'll add it to the selected note. Or if you don't have anything selected, your pointer will go blue, for example, like this, and you select where you want the crescendo to go, and you can simply just drag it out as much as you like. Okay. I would probably add them into the parts in score view, just because it's easier to see where you are in the score, whether you're in the chorus or verse or whatever. So yeah, I'm happy with that part. Let's go through to the drums. So select the part, press W, and here we go. We've got lots of drum stuff. Now again, I know Baz has had a problem with it not sounding unless it's in solid note head, but we'll get there. Now, a little issue here is we've got, this should be hi-hats and toms, but you can see the first three bars no, sorry, 3 beats of the bar, the stems go down instead of up. And now that's just because when you only got one voice in the staff, Sibelius doesn't automatically default voice 1 to go up and voice 2 to go down like it does, let's say, in the next bar. So we've got voice 1 on top and voice 2 in the bass. So you're going to have to manually flip the stems. Now that's very easy to do. All you do is select a note just by clicking on it so it's highlighted and press X. X for flip. And we've got this happening. Now you can see it's gone orange. Now, those who've got a good memory, orange means what? Yes, it's different from the part, different in the part than on the score. So let's go back and check that on the score. Hitting W to go back, and where are we? Yeah, so you can see in the score it's still down. So I would probably just change that just by pressing X. Now, oops, and then just double check that it's still up in the part, which it is, which is great. So that's that little bit fixed. Now, last but not least is the piano part. So select one of these staves in the piano, hit W, and away and up it comes. Again, no dynamics marked, which I would probably do. But other than that, it all looks pretty straightforward. Again, maybe put some rehearsal markings or section markings in the score, which will come up in all of your parts, just so that they know where where the chorus is, so they can get a few cues rather than having to rely on their counting skills, which should be impeccable anyway. Just the easier you make it for the musicians, the better result you get. Yeah, so that's the process in terms of how to prepare the parts. Now, to print the parts, it's actually quite easy. In Sibelius 7, you go up to File. Once you've saved and got your parts looking. Actually, before I do that, parts looking good. You can quickly swap between them. Now, those of you may have noticed that up here we've got all the parts that I've opened since opening this file. So if I wanted the drum set, I could click on that, then I could quickly flick over to the trombone, and then over to the alto sax, then to the tenor sax, and the full score again, rather than using the shortcut W. Now you can also click on this tabs button over here, which you can select the parts as well. So once you've got them looking the way you want and saved, now it's time to print. Okay, so once you've got your score looking the way that you want and you're ready to print, there's a few other things that you can do just to save yourself a little bit more paper and just to make it so you're not turning pages every 2 bars. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to adjust the staff size. Now if I go to layout options, you can see my staff size is up here set to 7. Now that's reasonably large. It's not ginormous, but it's pretty large. So if I click down to maybe 6.5, even down to 6. 6 for a score is okay. But you can see that all of a sudden I'm getting now 3 bars per page. Now that may seem like a bit of a, not much gain, but in doing so it was 20 pages and now it's down to 15. So that's 5 pages less. That's all a really good gain. Now again, we've got some red overlaps here. Now remember, when you see those, all you need to do is click on the lower staff and drag down until Sibelius readjusts everything, and you can see it's snapping to fill out the whole page. And it's probably good to do this. You can do more options to save yourself even more page space, but at the moment it's not really worth it. So as you can see, I'm just going through and clicking on the rhythm guitar and lowering it down until it snaps to fill out the whole page. Now this is a manual process, but it's probably the easiest and quickest way on a score of this size. There are automatic settings that you can do to customize these things, but I'm just doing it the manual way. So you can see now I've got a 15-page score, which is still very readable, but I've just got a few more bars to my page. What I can do is I can still the part staff size is still 7, and that's good. You don't want to make it too small because sometimes the players have to read it from a fair distance away. Okay, so I'm ready to print now. So I go up to File, I go Print. Now here are your two options. If you want to just print the score, you have it already selected. But we want to print the parts as well. So make sure we select the print parts. And here you can select individual parts and select how many copies of each that you want. Should you want, let's say you had maybe two trumpets, 2 sax, 2 tenor saxophones and 2 trombones, but one of everything else. You can easily double click and change the number of copies. It just makes it really easy to do. But we want to leave it all on 1 for now. Here you can set your printer settings and everything there, and once you're ready to go, you say use your OS dialog box and it'll come up with a standard printer. I don't have a printer installed on my computer here, so I could save it as a PDF instead, but you should be able to print no problems. But that's how you do it. If you have trouble, you can just export it all as a PDF and then print it out as from PDF files. To do that, you go File, Export as a PDF, and you want score and all parts in one file. You can customize the file name here. These little, I can't remember what they're called. Someone will help me. So %F will mean that it'll automatically generate the name as the score name. So you can see that this is going to say that the file name is going to be the score file name, which is BAS-P, hold on, I'm coming S6, dash part name, which would probably be score in all parts. And then you need to set your destination. Once you've done that, maybe your desktop or your thumb drive or whatever, and then click export. Please bear in mind, if you have a smaller screen, you may have to scroll down to see these options. I hope that's been helpful to everyone, and I look forward to hearing everyone's arrangements on Wednesday for Group 2 and Friday for Group 1. Don't forget that because we're having these performances, there will be no class, but if you want to come and ask me for help or feedback on your arrangement between now and then, just email me your Sibelius or come and see me, or both. And I've got time to sit with you and go through. I know some of you have done that already. So yeah, I look forward to hearing them all next week. Thanks, and enjoy the rest of your weekend. This is Andrew, signing out.